The Predator franchise has seen its ups and downs and crossovers with the Alien franchise as well. And when it's been good, it's been really awesome. But when it's been bad, yikes. Uh, it's been real bad. Uh, but which was the worst? Which was the best? Here's my ranking of the Predator franchise, every movie, from worst to best, aka my least favorite to my most favorite. So, let's get started. At number 7, Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I think we all can agree this is the worst movie out of the franchise. Which sucks, because the first AVP was decent. It set this movie up to be just as good, if not better, than the first, with the interesting concept for the villain, the alien-predator hybrid, or the predalien. But it, in most of the movie, was just, like, botched or something. The acting was cringy. The action scenes were iffy at best. It was very dark visually, like so dark in fact that some of the people working on the movie actually complained about it. But the director wanted it that way, I guess, to make it scarier and more suspenseful. But nothing can be scary if it can't actually be seen. The only real redeemable part of this movie is the main predator, which I believe got the name Wolf. I could be wrong about that. I could be getting it confused with another predator in the franchise. But either way, he alone cannot save this movie, and it is just not a good movie at all. If you haven't seen it, don't. Okay, that's basically what I'm saying. All right, moving on to number 6. Predator 2. This movie failed simply because it didn't live up to the highly regarded first Predator movie. The leading role wasn't bad, but he was kind of generic, which was a complete contrast to Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in the first film. Putting the Predator in a city environment was interesting. However, I think we can all agree it's better in a jungle or forest environment. The CGI wasn't any better despite like 3-4 years passing since the first film, and which could just be me cherry picking, but I'm just saying a few years had passed and it didn't get any better. And overall, this movie was just odd. Yeah, just odd. Number 3, The Predator. This movie was really good as an action-packed movie. It sucked as a horror Predator movie, meaning it was really great for my fighting videos, but garbage as a movie. There was an overuse of CGI, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing. I mean, you look at the MonsterVerse, you can look at Pacific Rim, the MCU. It's not a bad thing, but for this movie and franchise, it certainly was. The upgraded Predator, or the Assassin Predator, whatever you want to call it, wasn't even a hunter. It was an unstoppable tank, which goes against what makes the Predators so cool and interesting. It wasn't a hunter. The only interesting thing about them in cast was that they were all criminals or misfits or whatever. I don't know. That's it. I will say this movie didn't follow the predictable trope of a predator being the main protagonist to stop a bigger, badder evil, like in the AVP films. So I guess it wasn't predictable. However, for this movie's sake, they should have just went that route. It might have made the movie a little bit better. Moving on to number 4. Alien vs. Predator. This movie is the perfect middle ground of the franchise, because while it's far from the 3 movies after it, right, it's much better than the 3 that came before it. There's solid acting through most of the movie. There's good amounts of horror, suspense, and action. I think both the Alien and the Predator in this movie both got some good moments. The action was fun. I love hearing the lore between the aliens and the Predators and how it perfectly showed them as arch rivals. It also set up for a sequel very well, despite it not being that good. But like I said, it's not perfect. It's far from it. There's some awkward acting moments. I feel like there's more lore to their rivalry between the Alien and Predator, and I would have liked to have seen that. It doesn't make sense how the main predator housed the developing alien for so long without being in pain or sick or whatever for as long as it did, since we've seen it take significantly less amount of time before with people, right? And if there is a difference in the housing process of the alien inside of a predator than to a human, I feel like that should have been explained somehow. It never explained how the alien queen got chained up and frozen there too. But all in all, it's not a bad movie. If I see it, if I come across it, I might watch it. It's not a bad movie at all. Um, Moving on to number three. Predators. This movie is just really cool. The idea of a group of different types of killers and murderers being airdropped on a planet to see if they could survive in an unknown jungle with three rogue predators is just a fun concept. It's cool. The leading Royce, was the strongest main character since Schwarzenegger's Dutch character in the first film. He went through a real character development, going from a heartless mercenary to like a legitimate caring person. The three predators were cool villains. One of them even had a freaking drone. That's cool. Never seen that before. My favorite fight scene was between that samurai guy and that one predator, with them both dying in the end. That was cool. I love that we saw the predators act like real hunters by like laying traps and stuff. My one negative comment about this movie, though, is the fourth predator in the movie. It was that was like the three main predators, prisoner or something. Like, he did nothing to the overall plot. It didn't explain why he was their prisoner, and he didn't do much in the final act either. But that's my only real complaint. This movie was really solid. I enjoyed watching it. Um, when I watched all these last year, it was just a fun movie. It really was. Number two, and this might cause an uproar with people, but my second favorite is the Predator movie. For a lot of people, this is the movie they think about when talking about the Predator franchise. And for good reason. This movie was really good. Not just for its time, but even today. It's just a good movie. The cast was great. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, Dutch, is probably the strongest leading role out of the entire franchise. The Predator was done very well. The CGI was great for the 80s. There was a good blend of action, suspense, and mystery. It's just a good movie. A lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I think it just falls short of the newest addition to the franchise. And I understand why to them, this movie is nostalgic, and it is just a really good movie. However, I do believe it comes second to the newest addition to the franchise. And my number one pick, Prey. This movie was so great, and it's a shame it wasn't in theaters and it only came out on Hulu. I love that it was just a young rogue predator dropping in the Great Plains of North America in the early 1700s. This means the continent was still vast wilderness, and I love seeing it fight with the wildlife, specifically the grizzly bear. That fight was so cool. Okay, that was so cool. Seeing it interact with the wolf and the rattlesnake was fun as well. I loved how it had a more primitive arsenal. Like, it was still advanced weaponry, right? But, like, it didn't have a plasma cannon. Instead, it had a metal arrow ballistic gun thingy that was just as deadly, it seems like. The leading role, Amber Mid-Thunder's character, Naru, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, is probably the second strongest leading role out of the franchise, and her Mulan-like character arc was so good. She was a Native American woman who didn't want to be treated like the other women in her tribe, but rather like the men. She wanted to hunt and fight and defend rather than cook and clean and do other women things, I guess. And then, seeing her fail to bring home a successful hunt of a dangerous animal like a mountain lion and not getting that respect from her tribe just added to her character. It was saddening to see her fail when we wanted her to succeed. And then her outsmarting the predator, killing it, and then taking its head home as her trophy, and then finally getting that respect from her tribe was such a good way to end her story. Her brother, I think his name was pronounced as Wasape, was also a strong character who had a dope fight scene with the predator, went toe to toe with this thing, showing a lot of surprisingly skilled, and it was just real fun. And while that's the end for the main cast, the movie simply just didn't need any more main characters. It wasn't needed. This movie also had a lot of fun Easter eggs from prior films, from the gun from the second Predator movie, and then the line where she said, "If it bleeds, it can be killed." That's directly from the first movie. That was fun. I loved hearing that. Yeah, this is my favorite Predator movie in the franchise, and that's why it has my number one spot. I know a lot of people would disagree with me, say that the first Predator movie was better. I get that. I understand that. But in my opinion, this is the best, and it is my favorite. And that's my ranking. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Leave a comment of what you thought, and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos and all that great stuff. I truly do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace!